everybody, it's Dan Miller once again for Bluegrass Unlimited magazine, and this is Arpeggios on the Mandolin part 2. Last time I just showed you two arpeggio shapes. We had one that was like this, one was like this, and we talked about how to move that around, how to practice that over different chords and different keys and all that kind of stuff. And I told you for this time we'd give a little more practical exercise than just running through arpeggios. A little bit more practical, a little bit more fun. And so I'm going to give you two things to practice here. The first thing is just to take a generic chord progression. Let's say 2 measures of G, 2 measures of C, 2 measures of D, back to 2 measures of G, like a Blue Ridge Cabin Home, you know, kind of progression. Lots and lots of tunes have this kind of progression. So if you just take that 1-4-5 progression, G, C, D, back to G, each 2 measures, then repeat. Play each arpeggio. Here you could even put on a rhythm track. There's plenty of rhythm tracks you could find online that are 1-4-5 progressions. Put on a rhythm track and play along with that, or just sort of get the idea of it in your head and practice those patterns over hearing those chord changes, whether it's in your head or with a rhythm track or with a rhythm partner, somebody that can play the rhythm for you on a guitar or mandolin or whatever. So it would just be like 2 measures of G, 2 measures of C, 2 measures of D, back to 2 measures of G. And what I recommend is you first just, again, if you take baby steps, then you won't be overwhelmed. We talked about all these different positions you could play both different patterns in, so you got a lot of choices. Don't start with that many choices. Start with just, let's say, this G pattern. I'm going to use this pattern. Play it in G right there, play it in C right there, play it in D right here. Okay, that's all I want to stick with at first. Just stick with those patterns. Do those, just those 3 when you go to those chords until you get those 3 really down well before you try to move on and mix a lot of different patterns, okay? So it would be just like... Just go like, you know, that's the progression. Just keep on doing it over and over again. Play it over and over again in different patterns. Then once you get those 3 patterns down, say next I'm going to take this G, same pattern, just moving it, this C, this D, and do the same thing. Okay? Once you do that, mix those up different ways. Once you do that, then you can go to your other shape, the other pattern, this one. Okay? So just practice different time, just, you know, keep going and going and going. And that way you're going to get these things in your head and how to change them and how to create different kinds of improvised pattern. Basically you're improvising using those patterns, okay? And I think that the sooner you learn how to improvise, and I've talked about this before, the sooner you learn how to improvise when you're learning how to play, even if you're a rank beginner, okay? Maybe you get just a few tunes under your belt to get some technique down and all that. You're ready to start this exercise. You just three patterns, and then start playing them. Get them in your head, and then just start playing them over chord changes. Right? It could be any chord change pattern, but just a 1-4-5 simple. 2 measures, 2 measures, 2 measures is an easy way to go. Again, we're starting with baby steps, and we're just going to move forward from there. the way you move forward is, number one, mix up the patterns and mix up the positions of the patterns in different ways, in more complicated ways. But again, don't go there until you get the basic ones down and just sticking with simple patterns over and over again. Then you can go to more challenging chord progressions where the chords maybe change quicker, maybe there's more chords, maybe you're adding a 6 minor or a 2 minor, 3 minor into a diatonic chord progression with the 1, 4, and 5. Whatever, you know, get constantly more complicated as you go on, but don't move on to more complicated things until you got a real good grasp on the simple stuff. Okay, the next exercise is to take, let's say I'm going to take this pattern for G, this one for C, this for D. Okay? So what I'm going to do here is get a song in my head, not just a generic chord progression. Let's say if I take the song Lonesome Road Blues. I'm going down that road feeling bad. Well, I'm going down that road feeling bad. Well, I'm going down that road feeling bad. Lord, Lord, and I ain't gonna be treated this way. So that song has a G or a 1, then a 4, C, back to G, back to C, back to G, then D, then back to G. So it's a little bit more complicated maybe than the first progression, but the difference here is you actually have a song in your head, not just practicing your patterns over a generic chord progression. So here, I'd get that song in my head, okay? Now I just did it real simple. I kind of used the same pattern going in the same forward way over every one of those chords, but I had the cadence of the song in my head. Oh, I'm going down that road feeling bad. Okay, I didn't hit the right melody notes because there's an E melody note in there and it's not in the G chord. There's a A melody note over the C chord that's not in the C chord, but if you mimic the cadence like that, mimic the cadence of the song in your head and just play the notes of the chord, and it's going to sound good enough. We call this the fake it till you make it stage. If you don't know the melody, but you can pick up the changes of the chords and you can pick up the cadence of the song, and if you're at a jam and it's going around the circle, maybe a song you've never heard before, but by the time it gets around to you, a lot of people, the chorus in the verse has been sung a bunch of times, a bunch of people have been taking solos. By the time it gets to you, you can maybe pick up the chord progression if it's a simple chord progression, or watch another player play the chords while you're taking the solo, and then just mimic the cadence of the song, which you can pick up pretty quick. You might not be able to pick up the exact melody notes pretty quick, but you can pick up that cadence pretty good. Da 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 da. You know, not singing the melody, just playing the cadence. You could pick up that cadence and mimic that with your mandolin, playing the notes of the arpeggio. And that's a great way to fake it until you make it, because you're never going to play a rotten note if you're playing the notes of the chord over top the chord when that chord's going by. So that's like the first rule of learning how to improvise, is learn how to play arpeggios over the chord changes and make it fit the cadence of the song. So practice those things, practice over a generic chord progression, then get a song in your head and practice over that song, hearing that cadence of the melody in your head and then playing the arpeggios over that. Give that a try for simple 1-4-5 progressions on your mandolin, and I think that'll be a first step to you learning how to be an improvisational player. And this is in the context of you're at a jam, somebody brings up a song you've never heard before. You don't know the melody, and you're just going to fake it till you make it, so to speak. Arpeggios are the way to go. So good luck with that, and we'll see you next time.